Since the 2020s pandemic and lockdown culture, streaming has become way more popularized, and with that, anime has become way more mainstream than it has been ever before. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what's really worth our time to watch? And as the colors of covers and the cacophony of long titles engulfs you on the front pages of Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus, you have no idea where to start. I've been an avid anime fan and watcher for as long as I can remember. Over the years, I have grown a unique taste and opinions for the anime I decide to watch. My experience has enabled me to decipher the absolute cinema from the abysmal doo-doo water of anime. My rating system for anime is out of 100 points. The numbers in between each subsection make it clear to define what's above or below each other, and it has an easy conversion rate into the 10-point system. Starting from the top, the 90 and above scores are personal favorites and masterpieces. Trigun is a masterpiece with their masterful display and animation work. The story of Vash and his unlikely companions cross no man's land with a hail of gunfire and comedic standoffs. The unforgettable moments and characters will stay relevant throughout time. You even got a recent reboot in Trigun Stampede. Frieren is a fantasy anime that you wouldn't believe only came out a few years ago. It has a story that can jump out of the screen and directly into our hearts. We see the world through the eyes of the elf mage Frieren. She embarks on a journey to search for the one person she holds close, and this journey lets us witness the world in which she inhabits. Broken Blade is an anime that can be absolute cinema without being the best in class. Beyond the deserts of Krishna and a world of mages, the only hope for this kingdom lies with the Unsorcerer in its ancient Mecca to defend his home from the invading neighboring country. It's near and dear to me because it scratches that itch I have for mecha anime, and I love seeing big robots have epic battles. In the 90 to 70 ranking, there are great anime. They are well above the average anime experience to watch alone or with your friends. Most shows in this category have very few flaws. These are truly anime that you can come back to and enjoy watching all the way through again. Fate Zero is an epic story really only anime could tell, about ancient heroes facing off against one another in true battle royale fashion. I think my only gripe in this series is that the undertones are a lot darker than expected, especially for first-time watchers of the Fate franchise. Mushoku Tensei or Jobless Reincarnation is an isekai, with beautiful animation by Studio Bind's team. It is a compelling story about a man getting a second chance at life, being reincarnated as a child. He learns to balance his own new magical power and fitting in with his kind of eccentric family. The downside for me was that the main protagonist isn't exactly the most charismatic character, and his fixation on eroticism was a little overbearing. Bleach is one of the 3 pillars of shonen that stood the test of time. It has great fight scenes and an amazing soundtrack. I think that only suffers from a bit too much filler and has overall major canonical issues inside the entire timeline. Luckily, the newest seasons, the 1000-Year Blood War, you don't have to care about it too much, but it does matter for when they make references and flashbacks. In the 70 to 50 rank, these are well above the average and exceeded expectations. These are fun to watch with friends, but they're not the greatest anime out there. Yu Yu Hakusho is a classic shonen powerhouse. Amazing cel-shaded animation with the Japanese 80s style of punk delinquent combat, with a dose of the supernatural. A great show, but it may seem a bit dated in its references, and has one of the longest tournament arcs in all of anime. Gate is a postmodern isekai that involves the JSDF and a crew of soldiers that fight on the front line against a medieval invasion. It's a fun and quirky show, but it's effectively JSDF shilling, as they basically just mow down almost everybody in their path with modern weapons. There are some exceptions to the rule like Ray Mercury, but other than that, the reverse invasion has definitely begun. The wrong way to use healing magic is just like any other old isekai, but this time, the main character was not the chosen one. And with his latent power and healing, the main character must train his mind and body to become the ultimate healer. Cool concept, but some of the modern tropes and pedantic pacing make this a bit of a slog. In the 50 to 40 rank lies the absolute average. Shows can still be fun and enjoyable, but it also doesn't innovate and just merely keeps the status quo. I personally think that a 70 ranking is too high for the range of average. I want to differentiate what's good and what's mediocre. Duel Masters is a classic card game anime, and it's definitely fun to watch, but it doesn't really live up to the emotional moments of Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely turn your brain off and enjoy some Saturday morning cartoon vibes. A Nobody's Way Up to an Exploration Hero is honestly an unoffensive mid-fantasy anime. about a guy down on his luck using bug spray to kill dungeon mobs. And he gets lucky and gets 2 summons that change his destiny. The animation is sloppy, and this anime definitely wants to cash in on its characters. It's not unwatchable. You'll get a laugh here and there, but it's not great at all. Helk is a fantasy anime about a human attempting to be the demon lord. It's interesting because it takes a very comedic approach, but it attempts to twist into a dark fantasy-esque plotline. The animation colors in the anime did not reflect the drastic change in this pace and storytelling for me to be impactful. I felt like the manga was indeed better because when they made that shift, the entire art style and tone shifted. 30-0 is abysmal doo-doo water. I believe money, manpower, and time was wasted to produce some of this bottom tier slop. It has structural mistakes and design problems, most definitely. And it's where it's so bad it's good truly lies for anime. I would definitely recommend revising or reworking shows in this tier to save it from complete financial destitution. Gundam Requiem for Vengeance is one of the latest Gundam franchise shows. It attempts to appeal to the other side of the war, much like Gundam Origin did, but instead of the charismatic Char Aznable, it has a ragtag team of Zaku pilots, and a mysterious prototype Gundam that's hunting them down. It sounds really cool on paper, until characters make poor decisions, and this show throws some of the timeline in which a Gundam was created and tested into question. This feels like a fanfic that wasn't meant to leave the planning stages. Aldnoah Zero is kind of peculiar. On one hand, it has amazing music, great CGI mecha fights, and great animation, but its plot is abysmal. It's about space people trying to subjugate Earthlings and them resisting. It begins to deteriorate into some sloppy story about revenge and gotcha moments, as they use dramatic scenes for them to not mean a single thing in the sequel series for the sake of getting your attention, instead of having those scenes have purpose and meaning. The main characters literally shoot each other in the head, and they live and brush it off. I think it's just bad. Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash is an isekai, and I know I've been talking about isekais a lot on this list. It has beautiful water painting-esque animation and has pretty good music. The main characters forget their memories and have no particular advantages whatsoever. They have to pick a job and a class to survive in this harsh world. And at first, this is what made this isekai pretty popular. People liked that it was grounded in realism and reality. Though I found it quite boring. I felt like it was watching sand. I want my isekais to have a more escapism element to them, more fantastical, so I just ended up not liking this one at all. And just a reminder, if you like something that falls into a particular score, remember it's not personal. My opinions are subjective in nature. We can talk about objective events and quotations in shows using our own ideas and opinions to understand whether shows are worth watching or not.